All right, I will get started, and please keep me on track if I lose that order.
Thank you.
All right, it is Friday, June 21st. It's 12:05 p.m., and I'm calling this Planning and Zoning Commission special meeting to order. This is Radhika Krishna. I'm normally the vice chair. And if we could have the roll call, please.
Jared Gardner. Jared? There you go.
Sorry, thanks.
It's all right.
Here.
Radhika Krishna.
Here.
Jeff Ron.
Here.
Brandy Eber.
Here.
Daniel George.
Here.
Greg Strike.
Here.
Jim Winchester and Scott Pullis are excused. And Andre, I will check for emails to see if he sent me something, but you have a quorum. Thank you. Oh, there's Andre.
Hey, Andre, we just called the meeting to order and did roll call, but I'm happy to relinquish the virtual gavel if you'd like to. I think minutes are next.
Okay. Sorry I'm late. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second?
This is Radhika.
Okay. Any discussion on the minutes? Any objections? Hearing none, minutes are approved.
Disclosures.
Any disclosures? Hearing none.
Consent agenda.
I'm trying to pull up my agenda so I wouldn't need prompts. But motion to approve the consent agenda.
This is Radhika. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second from Commissioner Strike.
Moved and seconded.
Objection for purpose of discussion?
Okay.
We would need to pull it from the consent agenda to discuss it.
Commissioner George, you would like to pull the resolution?
I would like to pull the resolution from the consent agenda, but it kind of goes back to Jeff's question before and about the urgency of the resolution in light of the revised S1.
Okay. So do we need are we needing a formal motion to pull the resolution for discussion?
No. He
Okay,
pulled it,
well,
so,
I guess
yeah. So the consent agenda is done, so you'll just act on this next.
Okay, well, would you like to discuss it?
Yes, please.
Go for it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate you letting me take an extra minute or two out of your day here. Hopefully this won't take too long. There's a couple of questions I just had, and I know that another commissioner had some questions about this as well. I just want to start by thanking you and my fellow commissioners, as well as the planning department staff, legal counsel, and everyone in the public who testified and invested considerable time in this process to consider the case before us, 2024-006, which is also known as AO 2023-87, 87S, 87S1. It's worth noting, again, for the record, these petitioners are also assembly members acting in their official capacity. It's also timely to note that they have exercised their legislative powers to introduce an S1, or preparing, for introduction of an S1 document that is considerably different than what we have been working off of and made our recommendations in our most recent meeting, which is the subject of the resolution here at hand. I'll note, just for the record, Anchorage Daily News' article on Tuesday, Anchorage Assembly members dial back housing initiative and focus on Anchorage duplexes. The initiative, which was brought by the sponsors, originally was very complex and had a lot of parts to it. We had work sessions on it. Some of the public expressed frustration that we weren't able to delve into the depth that we would like. I know that some of my commissioners shared that frustration, and of course I will acknowledge that I did not vote in support of the initiative, that I would have liked to have seen more fleshed out of it. But fortunately, it seems like the sponsors have gone in a new direction, or are planning to, and are looking to focus specifically on the duplex issue. So my concern is that many of the recommendations in this resolution that we are making are no longer germane or relevant to where the sponsors are going. And so I'm curious what the urgency is to pass these recommendations, and also would like to also express my appreciation for the ability to make findings at our previous meetings, which I thank the staff for incorporating into the resolution here before us, particularly the one resolution that I was able to make regarding the number of residential units by rights allowable in any given lot. That seems to be kind of the most important question here going forward, because that's kind of the question the Assembly will be taking up, it seems. And unfortunately, there wasn't a considerable amount of time spent as a body on that one question. And if that's the one area that the sponsors would like to focus on, I don't know that necessarily us as a body adopting the home initiative legislation and forwarding it to the Assembly with our recommendations that don't have anything to do with it is really truly passing support for it. So I think that a lot of the folks that reviewed this and provided input were doing so on a much different topic. But I do appreciate the amendment number 6 we adopted from the staff report, particularly regarding the planning process contemplated by the American Planning Association and the Public Participation Association recommendation. And then lastly, I'll just, of course, renew my recommendation that at some point as a commission, we support public engagement by, highlighting the need for a full 20-year comprehensive plan review, specifically as contemplated in 2103-070B1. It has been more than 20 years since we've had that review. I just want to note those for the record, and then maybe if we can get some input on whether these findings are needed by the Assembly for them to take a consideration of this. I just would appreciate that dialogue. Thank you.
Anyone else want to chime in?
Commissioner Ron here. Appreciate the prior commissioner's comments, and similarly have interest in many of the points therein raised. Perhaps we can pull forward and or ask for another response from staff to the issue of urgency, and the get the department's input on how this resolution may be used going forward, given potential for inconsistencies.
Yeah, thank you. This is Ryan Yellow with the Planning Department. The need for the urgency is because the home initiative is coming up for discussion on the upcoming regular meeting of the Assembly on the 25th. And I believe the sponsors of the home initiative would like this resolution in hand as a discussion for purposes of discussion to demonstrate that this new S1 version that they intend to put forward is a result of the concerns brought forward by the community and through the discussion with the Planning and Zoning Commission. So although many aspects of it may not pertain to the new S1 version, I think the S1 version is a result of many of the points raised and result of many of the findings and recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Ron here again, could I ask another clarifying question? Thanks. If staff could confirm or provide input on the S version of AO 87, My understanding is that it waives Planning and Zoning Commission review of the ordinance. If in your duty you could speak to that, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. I had that same question, we had that same question internally, and I'm not sure if the legislative procedures, when you introduce an S version, if that S version has to carry the same title forward, or if there truly is an intent to waive Planning and Zoning Commissioner review. Because originally, when 2023-87 was first introduced, it did outright waive Planning and Zoning Commissioner review, and then, of course, was referred back to Planning and Zoning Commission for their review. So I'm not sure if it's simply an issue of the title of the previous S version being carried forward into this new S1 version, or if there truly is an intent to waive Planning and Zoning Commission review. But perhaps a case could be made that this new S1 is in response to concerns from the Planning and Zoning Commission, and therefore is taken into account the Commission's review. But I don't know that, I can't say that affirmatively at this point. The Planning Department has not had the opportunity to review the S1 version or have a discussion on it with the sponsors. So I'm just saying that to the intent, whether or not Planning and Zoning Commission review is intended to be waived for the new S1 version, I can't confirm or deny whether or not that's the intent of the sponsors.
Anybody else want to talk?
Mr. Chair,
topic?
If there's no one else, I'd just like to wrap up my thoughts on the matter and defer to the will of the body. That I appreciate the opportunity. Oh, it looks like there's still a hand up from Mr. Yell, but I certainly don't want to deprive the Assembly or the public the recommendations of the body, which it has clearly formed a consensus in. I think that is a valuable work product. So I think that if we can provide those consensus points, I think there's value to it. My concern is that that it will be possibly construed as support for an initiative that does not resemble what we reviewed. And also the one important point that is essentially becoming the initiative is not something that we really took serious time to consider or that the public really weighed in on. And I don't know if it's appropriate for us as a body to put that asterisk on our findings in some way to say, well, we didn't really look deeply at this one item, but overall we did make the following findings should you as a body wish to make policy calls. That's just some food for thought for the body. So thank you for the opportunity.
I just want to respond to that real quick, then we'll come back to you, Ryan. And I haven't read the S1 version that the Assembly has produced, but an ADN reporter basically called me up and explained what it was. And so allowing duplexes in single-family zoning has always been the biggest piece of this proposal to me the entire time. It's been the biggest piece to consider. I haven't talked a lot about it because I didn't want to, as a home builder and developer, I didn't necessarily want to weigh in with my opinions one way or another. I was kind of attacking it more from process and permitting and just not messing up our system. But I know that I mentioned it in the work session, and I think I actually mentioned it in public testimony, saying like, yeah, this is the biggest piece to me, but nobody seems to be talking about it. They're just all talking about the process. But so I guess the comment about it not being considered, I would say you weren't reading the code and you weren't reading what was in front of you and considering it if you didn't acknowledge that that was the biggest piece of it, because to me it was the biggest piece the entire time. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just re-reviewing the S1 version again, and I apologize. It was legislative language can be confusing. I know we've run into this issue before, but they are removing the the waiver of Planning and Zoning Commission review from the title of the ordinance. So it does appear that there is no intent to carry forward with that language. And I'm not sure if they are going to refer the S1 version back to Planning and Zoning Commission, or if they are considering the input thus far to be the review taking place by Planning and Zoning Commission. Given the fact that the inclusion of duplexes within the R1 zoning districts was included in the original proposal that went before Planning and Zoning Commission. So I think a case could be made that Planning and Zoning Commission has already reviewed this aspect of the home initiative.
And I guess I don't know that I feel strongly about us pushing this resolution forward or not. One thing to consider is the findings that we made and the recommendations about coming back to P&Z and further meetings and basically writing the code and then sending it back to us and testing it. I guess some of those findings, I guess if we don't move this forward, we need to consider that we won't be moving forward those findings either. And so I don't know. I don't feel strongly one way or another. So I guess I just wanted to kind of throw that out there and see what the group wants to do. Okay, so nobody's talking. I need a little help. What is the next step here? Do we take a vote on whether to approve this?
Yes, you would need a motion to approve the resolution if everybody's finished with their discussion.
What is the will of the body?
Commissioner Ron here, move to approve.
I'll make a motion to second, or I'll second it.
Okay, Commissioner Ron, do you want to speak to your motion?
Just briefly, thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the communications that the Commission has had on this topic during this special meeting. Given the inputs from both commissioners and planning staff, I personally, as a commissioner, do see value in pushing forwards with approval, given the work that we put into and supporting and also adding to our recommendations for consideration by the Assembly, and would leave it to that body to
Sorry, Commissioner Ron, did he just disappear?
Yes.
Commissioner Krishna, go ahead.
Sure. I kind of have a question for staff because I don't think we've ever declined to pass a resolution. What happens in that case if we either postpone or don't pass a resolution of this sort?
Through the chair, that's an interesting question. I mean, there has to be a resolution to substantiate a formal decision made by the Planning and Zoning Commission. So I don't know that you can outright decline to pass a resolution. You could certainly amend a resolution, but I guess I don't believe you can outright decline or choose not to have a resolution to substantiate your decision.
In theory, we could leave it on our agenda in perpetuity and just decline to vote and keep reordering the agenda and postponing forever. I don't suggest that, but it seems like we could do that if we wanted to.
Well, in that case, I'll just say that I intend to support the motion because I don't really see that we have an alternative. But if anyone has a amendment that they believe would add value to our process, I'd be glad to hear it.
Through the chair, I'm not sure of an amendment to a resolution because these are facts that were stated during the meeting. I don't think you can add anything that was not discussed at the last meeting.
I guess, question for staff, if we wanted to make a second resolution to say where we stand now, could we, in theory, discuss, move, and approve such a thing?
I believe in theory there's a way. What exactly that would look like, I'm not sure. That's new territory. So.
I think Jeff's back on.
Commissioner George.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I think that, again, just to reiterate, I think we ought to provide our public work product to the Assembly and to the public. And your point about, consideration of the essential elements of the ordinance is certainly taken, to heart. I think the public saw a lot of moving parts in this and a lot of revisions and collaboration between the department and the Planning and Zoning Commission. And I think for me, the overall most important or most visible portion, the first slide in the deck was always consolidating 15 zones to 5, and how, and where we go from there. I guess if I had, in a perfect world, I'd love to see us provide a little more public process and maybe input on the specific element that is going to be going forward. It sounds like at the Assembly level. I don't wear that pin. I didn't run for office. None of us did. And so those folks get to make the policy calls, and I get that. And I just hope that we can provide them the input that will help them make good decisions. And so if this is the work product that guides them in evaluating that policy call, that's what we can provide them. Like I said, I'd love to see us give a public process on that item at the Planning and Zoning level, but they hopefully will get that at the Assembly level, and hopefully it's not just a quick item next Tuesday, excuse me. But I'm glad we've got enough members here that if the body wishes to move this resolution forward, it sounds like there's support for it. I was hoping to support this initially, but I'm probably going to have to oppose it here today. But I would appreciate a more robust public process specifically on an item like this. So thank you.
Chair Spinelli, I believe Commissioner Ron has joined us again.
Welcome back, Commissioner Ron. You kind of got cut off towards what I think was the end, but I do want to restate what you were saying, just so we know we got it.
Mr. Chair, I believe that you got everything important in what I was trying to say and don't need to add to it. You may have missed that I was wrapping up with just intending to support the resolution with the yes vote here.
Any more discussion? Going once, going twice. Call for the vote.
Would you like to do a roll call vote?
I guess. I don't know how else do we do it.
That would be just about it. Chair Spinelli?
Yes.
Commissioner Gardner?
Yes.
Vice Chair Krishna?
Yes.
Commissioner Ron?
Yes.
Commissioner Eber?
Yes.
Commissioner George?
No.
Commissioner Strike?
Yes.
It was 6-1. Six in favor.
The motion passes. I just want to apologize again. I was in a long Zoom and then I jumped on the phone to handle business and then realized I was late for this meeting. So I apologize.
We need a motion to adjourn.
Can we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Commissioner Strike.
Second, Commissioner George.
Moved and seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, we are